My philosophy has always been I like peace and I love peace and everything that comes with peace. And when you get peace, you get talking about medical services, hip replacements, maternity, social welfare, and all of that. But that comes usually after some kind of war, like Irish independence, or like the Second World War in Britain, where people look to get something out of their efforts. Now, in Ukraine, I've given you the history. Some of you won't believe it. I can't do anything about that. That's your problem. The Americans started the Ukraine war. The British joined in with gusto, and so did the Europeans. No pleas by Russia were ever listened to. They murdered hundreds, if not thousands, of unfortunate Russians who were in roughly the same position in the Ukraine as the loyalists are in Northern Ireland. When a border changes or when a regime changes, the minority are in danger, and that happens in Syria and many other places. In Ireland, when the Free State came in, the Irish Republic, and it was by no means perfect, they never took it out on unionists or people of that diaspora or that religion. They let them live and let live. One of the greatest achievements that was ever achieved. Even it would have happened with Michael Collins living, but even when he died, it was still carried on by the Fine Gael leadership and by De Valera in the Fianna Fáil leadership. And that means that to this day, 100 years after, people of the minority sector, the Protestant people in Ireland, can walk freely among us, and we can bid them the time of day, and we have done nothing to them. What a wonderful way to start off your new state. That's what happened in Ireland. Very few places did it. Now, in the United States, after the Civil War, they quickly healed the divisions as well. So there was precedent there for that. Anyway, every effort by the Russian leadership, Putin and all, to bring to the attention of the West, the woke, cultural Marxist West, the plight of the Russians, a reasonable settlement, and the stopping the march of NATO has been laughed at in Ireland, Britain, Europe, and everywhere else. And so President Trump done his best, but it wasn't enough. He had good hopes. He made it possible to bring peace. But it must be remembered in the Ukraine war that the Americans are a belligerent. They're one of the sides. America are as much built into the Ukraine war as the British or the French or the Germans. And they're still giving them loads of money and loads of weapons. And the Ukraine is able to attack Moscow with these weapons. So how can the Americans or President Trump negotiate with Russia when they're doing it? They're the ones that's firing the missiles, providing them. And then they think they can talk to Putin as if they were independent. America is not a neutral party. Anyway, folks, last night, the night of the 23rd, I think it is, this is Saturday, 24th, isn't it? Putin launched an unbelievable attack on Kiev. 250 drones and 14 missiles. And it appears, as if I talk, that they've crippled the US Patriot defense system, Patriot missiles. And this is exactly what I would expect the Russians to do. If Putin were to sell their people short or to give some kind of a deal, the Russian people will not tolerate it. There's a lot of debts on the side of Russia. They want this settled, and they're going to get it settled, whether America or Europe wants it or not. There is a good lot of talk that they'll take the town of Odessa, which is roughly in the position of Wexford in Ireland. And now they're attacking Kiev. And they realise that while Ukraine retains an independent state, The Nazis that run Ukraine will never settle. I'm not saying that the Russians will or should take over all of Ukraine, but I would understand if they did. There's a big row on now between the EU and the Americans as to who should get all the gravy when there's money awarded to rebuild Ukraine. The EU and America wants to take what's left of Ukraine and pour billions of borrowed money into it to build it. And all of the building firms and all of the big construction and all of the big companies are mad to get going. And when they have it built, they'll put windmills on it and solar panels and more green, left-wing, LGBTQ paraphernalia. For decent Ukrainians, it's a horrific prospect. For me, I would now take a prediction that Putin has enough of talking. The negotiations were laughed at by the Ukrainians. The negotiations were resisted by the Europeans who wouldn't beat their way out of a plastic bag. They've surrounded Russia by NATO, and that is not acceptable. America would not accept a hostile power on Cuba in 1960s. They wouldn't accept nuclear missiles in Cuba. And yet they expect Russia to expect them on their border, right beside Moscow and St. Petersburg. It's not on. Putin has cleverly built up a good military. He's cleverly avoided all those sanctions. He doesn't care who to sanction or what to sanction. In 2024, the European Union paid more to Russia for fossil fuel deliveries than it paid in aid to Ukraine. That's a known fact, I've checked it. And now Kiev is under trouble. And the people of Ukraine have to listen to me. You've got to get that Zelensky prick out of there. Get him out, however you get him out. Get him out. And form some kind of a moderate, non-Nazi government that can negotiate and try and retrieve something. For Vladimir Putin or the Russian people will no longer accept the West arming the Ukraine, financing them to kill Russians. I would do the same myself if it was happening to me. I'd go in and put the lights out. So it's high time action was taken. I believe the whole peace negotiations is over. He'll flatten Kiev and they'll all be housed in Ireland. He'll flatten Kiev. The right thing for Ukrainians to do is get rid of Zelensky. Get him to hell out with his green jumper. Get him out of there. Fair means or foul. He has houses all over the place. He has siphoned off billions in money. And let in someone that can do the job. The Nazis in Ukraine will kill him if he softens. Let them appoint somebody. And let them see their men shot dead, blown up and attacked. And if the Ukrainian people have any sense, they'll round up those Nazis and horse them off over to Europe. Who wants them? You can't have peace where you have Hitler-loving people trying to destroy the Russian people. The bombing is severe, will probably be very bad tonight. They'll probably bring Kiev to bits. And imagine all that Europe and some in America and Britain is worried about is who will get the money to rebuild it. They are some crowd. Comment underneath. Have I explained my position? Russia has stepped up its military attacks. Russia is probably going to try and conquer all of Ukraine. They're going to either drive Zelensky out or get him and bring him to trial. Don't know will he be hanged or what they'll do with him, execute him or shoot him, I don't know. The Nazis in Ukraine will face the same, possibly the same fate as the Nazis in Germany during the Second World War. They never thought the evil day would arrive, and when it come to hanging them after the Nuremberg trials, one of them took a cyanide pill. They sent over a botched executioner from Texas called James Woods, who lied about his ability to execute, and some of them were hanging on the gallows for 20 minutes. That's what's facing the Ukrainians. You've got to make a decision. You've got to come out and try and get a peace settlement. You've got to get rid of Nazis in your state and let the world return to some kind of peace. And neither the Americans nor the EU must make €1 profit from rebuilding it. Comment underneath, we'll see you back.